Hey guys, welcome to Keep It Real. It's gonna be another talky kind of vlog. This vlog I want to talk to you about the biggest, not say the biggest, but the toughest lesson I've had to learn in 2019. I'm not doing like a happy what I achieved in 2019 yearly wrap up kind of thing, because to be honest I didn't really achieve anything. Well, I didn't achieve anything like career or life changing, but I did go through some stuff that were life changing. Let's take it back to Rial 6 years old. See, Rial 6 years old, 1st September in 1998 was the first year that I experienced sadness from a loss of a family member. 1st of September in 1998 was when I lost my grandfather on my father's side, and at that age I cried. I felt sad, but I guess I was just a little bit too young to understand what sadness from a loss of a family member felt like. So I cried, but I didn't really understand it. So it was at the point that I cried, and my father and my uncle came to me and asked me, "Why are you crying? Why are you feeling so sad?" And I just told them, "I know, I'm just sad because my grandfather is not around anymore." And yeah, that was real at 6 years old. Fast forward 21 years later, January 11th, 2019, I lost my second grandfather. I lost my grandfather on my mother's side, and it was difficult seeing him go. He was the kind of grandfather that, you know, he is like the sweetest, smallest, kindest old man. But when I wasn't that close to him growing up because of a distance issue, but as I got older and I started talking to him more, he had a lot of war stories. You know, he was the guy who's like, he'll tell me the story of him going to the forest, into the jungle for like 3 months with his troops fighting off communists. He was talking to me about, you know, when the Japanese came and invaded Malaysia, he was there through all that, survived all that. He had to see, when at that time of the era here in Malaysia, you don't have proper identification. So what you needed to do is sometimes you needed to lie about your age to get a job and to help support himself and his family. That is what he had to do. You know, a real tough guy. He was the kind of guy who would wake up at like 5:30 a.m. in the morning just to go to the mosque to lead the prayers. Then he'll come back, and he was the kind of old man that always works in the yard. And the last year, he's been, well, about a year before he went off, he started losing his memory. You know, it was starting to get more and more difficult for him to remember. Signs of aging. You know, he started getting tired a lot quicker. He started losing things like his hearing, his eyesight. All his senses were starting to dull. And this was the guy that he would come rushing to help people. He would come to the door to greet you when you go back home for Raya or for the holidays. So yeah, this year, after 21 years of losing my first grandfather, this year I lost my second grandfather. And for the first time in my life, I'm living my life grandfatherless. And I didn't tell a lot of people. My mom was, of course, very sad. It's her father after all. And I felt sad too, but I didn't really express it so much. I felt like I needed to make the next step forward in my life. But some days I really miss him. One of the highlights about the holidays is going back home, balik kampung as we call it in Malaysia, talking to my grandfather, asking him about old war stories. You know, he would tell us about what it was like being the police force. And I don't know, I'm just happy I had that time to really get to know him. Whereas in my first grandfather that passed away, I was so young. I was 6 years old. I didn't really get to know him. You know, I kind of know him now through the stories that my grandmother tells me, stories that my uncles and my aunties tell me. But that's really just it. And now both my grandfathers are gone, and I have two grandmothers, and you know, I see them going through the same aging process. You know, my grandmothers, they are getting tired a lot quicker. They are showing signs of slight memory loss. Like my grandmother would go, like, she would ask me like what I ate for lunch, and then 10 minutes later she asked me if I had lunch, and then maybe 5 minutes later she asked me, do I want lunch, that kind of stuff. So that is, I gotta say, if I were to wrap up what's my biggest, and I gotta say my toughest lesson of the year, it would be that, which is, it's tough seeing your grandparents grow old. It's tough seeing them, you know, they took care of me, they were around, they were they were always happy. You know, your parents are always there with you. They love you, but they're also there to teach you, to educate you, to in some ways discipline you. But your grandparents are always the ones who are always around to kind of bring you that little extra spark of joy in your life. And it's difficult seeing that spark of joy, even though it's still there, get slowly aging. And I know that in 10, 20, 30 years in the future, I'll experience this with my parents. I'll get to see my parents start growing old and showing, unfortunately, showing these signs and all that. But that's a tough lesson. 2019 is a year of tough lessons for me. And I hope you guys also experience these tough lessons in life, because that's kind of what pushes us forward in life, right? We're only as tough as the last challenge that we go through, or something like that. Anyway guys, not much of a vlog. Just finished my run. I just thought of finishing off this year by letting you guys know how it went, because you know, you always gotta keep it honest and you always gotta keep it real.